I've begun work on a taxi system 11A MPU board. It's an A because it's missing this connector. And the client sent it to me with an indication that the sounds would flake out. Sometimes there'd be sound and sometimes there would not be sound. I'm pretty sure we know what the issue is here. You can see the corrosion. This is the reset section. So I'm going to scrape almost every part from this section as defined as we have documented in the pin wiki. And I'm going to clean up these traces. These SRCs are going to have to go. I'm going to have to, you have to remove everything that's in the corrosion zone and then clean it up and replace as necessary. So here we go. All right, we are well into the process. I've gotten out in front of myself a little bit and replaced these two 10 microfarad caps, a 100 microfarad, a 470 microfarad, and three 100 microfarad caps here. These are power, these are sound filter caps. I have removed all of the parts that need to be removed. I removed U41. There was a little corrosion on the legs of the part, and while I don't relish desoldering 40-pin components, it's the right thing to do. So I took it out and I'll put a socket in there and I'll send that part back to the client. He can use it as a backup. So I've also scraped the components from the reset section, and I'll add a modern reset generator at Q39 and a jumper here. Jumper from here to here. And then, well, of course, I got to sand all this down to the bare copper and make sure that these traces are all continuous. You can see, here's the sound header. So SRC1, and on the back of the board, there are a few other signals that go to the sound header. So it's easy to theorize that this would be the problem with the intermittent sound. And that theory is 99% right. So let's finish it up. The next thing I'm going to do is wrap a piece of sandpaper around the block. That's a 12-pin. That's a 12-pin Molex connector. So I'm going to use it as a block to block sand, like that. All the corrosion off of this area. Finally made it to the bench with this taxi MPU that had quite a bit of alkaline corrosion to abate. So I've scraped the reset section and I have repaired all of the traces that lead from U42, this pin, all the way out to this leftmost pin. They all go to this topmost SIP resistor, and on the back of the board I'll roll in a picture, but I've got the zebra striped banjo stringed jumpers there to take care of where the corrosion had eaten into the traces at the lower SIP as they pass between the legs of it. Corrosion tends to hang out where there's a vertical post. This is the blanking indication in the center of the picture there. It goes to pin 2 of the sound ribbon and the display ribbon, and I've jumpered that on the back also. I've socketed the 6116 so that the client can easily install an NVRAM if they'd like. All these caps have been replaced, and the power header at J17 has been replaced also. We are in test now. Victor's multi-purpose display panel supports the Williams jackpot games like Taxi and I forgot what the other one is, but we are up and running. So let's put it into test. And I pressed the wrong button. Well, let me just go through all those and the game will reboot. Okay, now we're getting to test. And most of those sounds, I believe, are probably coming from the CPU board, but who knows with System 11 games. I was keen to make sure that this entire display test was working, because some of those traces that may have been corroded or that were corroded would go to the display function. Most of them went to the sound, though. In fact, probably all of them went to the sound. I'm just verifying that there were no traces that I missed. You can see those are all working correctly. And it looks like we have sound totally restored. Let's test the other functions. Lamp matrix, single lamps, working correctly. Let's jump over to solenoids. And the red is the A side and the green is the C side. The orange that's lighting up is an indication of A side or C side. Very nice integration of the AC select relay onto this board that Victor designed. So that was all the multiplexed and non-multiplex solenoids. These are the special solenoids. The two bright orange LEDs are the flipper power enable relay. And now I'm simulating switch inputs from what would be slingshots or pop bumpers. Taxi goes up to switch 58. I was just going across the diagonal there. And let's pick up 58. There it is. And this board is totally functioning. It wouldn't do me any good to put this on free play since there's no battery backup right now and there's no NVRAM. The thing remaining to do is to conformal coat the rest of this bare copper. You get into a little bit of a order of operations because you don't want to conformal coat where you're going to add jumpers or repair traces, because it just makes it harder to solder to. But you need to have conformal coat below where I sanded off to bare copper underneath U42, for instance. So I'd conformal coat underneath here and then underneath these pins, and then install the parts, and then come back and conformal coat the rest of it. So you're good to go. Thank you so much for sending it. Here are my banjo strings on the back, jumpering the 6821 to the SIP resistors, and I put a heavy coat of conformal coating on them to tack them down to the board.